Okay, going to call the regular meeting of council order for Tuesday, February 20th. Before I call for the approval of the agenda, normally we only do it, I believe, and I don't know if we have a policy on it, but a moment of silence usually, I mean, for sure, we definitely respect mayors and other councillors. But we did have somebody pass away in our municipality. And I think it's very, very important to recognize her and stuff. So I'm going to ask the council, maybe we need to look at a policy, I don't know, but to me, I would like to take a moment of silence for Grace Walsh. I think it's just very, very important, so. All right, thank you very much. Thanks, council and staff, for that. I just think for what Grace Walsh has done for the community, her and her family, to me, the things they've given back to this community, I think it's very, very important to recognize that. Take approval of the agenda, Councilor Norbury.
That the February 20th, 2024 regular council meeting agenda be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Clickash. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of minutes for February 5th, 2024, regular council meeting minutes. Recommendation, please, Councilor Noxana.
That the February 5th, 2024 regular council meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Julich. Any errors or omissions? All in favor? Carried. February 12th, 2024, special council meeting minutes. Recommendation, please, Councilor Dussault.
That the February 12th, 2024 special council meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Clickash. Any errors or omissions? All in favor? Carried. Any business arising for the minutes, council? Staff?
No, there isn't.
Thank you. Consent agenda. Take the recommendation, please. Councillor Julich.
That all items in the February 20th, 2024 consent agenda be moved for information.
Seconder, Councillor Clickash. All in favor? Carried. Are there any items that council would like to bring forward for discussion? Councillor Dussault.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to bring forward 9.1, the Tourism Growth Program.
That's under new business.
Oh,
It'd
sorry.
only be 7.2, which would be BC
Oh,
Hydro.
7.2. Okay, sorry.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay. All good. Okay, moving on to new business, grant application support, tourism growth program. Report dated February 20th, 2024 from the Director of Economic and Community Development regarding grant application support, tourism growth program. Recommendation. Councillor Julich.
The council supports administration's grant application for Tumbler Ridge Trails Master Plan and Destination Management Framework through Pacific Can's Tourism Growth Program, TGP, understanding that the district contribution depends on budget deliberations.
Seconder, Councillor Norbury. Discussion. Councillor Dussault.
Thank you, Mayor. Reading through this, I think this is a great program, and if budget does allow us to, I really feel that we should be supporting this because if it's bringing all these groups together, all working under kind of one umbrella, so to speak. I think that's great tourism for our trails and to keep the upkeep and to help them out the best that we can.
Thank you. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Kakalka. I support the recommendation on the floor. I think it's a great opportunity whenever we can leverage our funds into grant funding. And in a project such as this, where we can get everyone working together under one umbrella so we can have a finished product that we can present to our residents, to the greater world, absolutely support. Thanks.
Yep, thank you. Any more discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Motion carries. 9.2, Development Variance Permit Application, 95 Wolverine Avenue. Report dated February 20th, 2024, from the Director of Protective Services, Fire Chief, regarding Development Variance Permit Application, 95 Wolverine Avenue. Recommendation, Councilor Norbury.
The council authorizes administration to proceed with the development variance permit application submitted for 95 Wolverine Avenue, Lot A, Plan Number EPP 123298.
Thank you. Seconder, Councilor Oksana. Discussion. Councilor Julik.
I want to just make sure that I'm understanding this right. So the part Lot A, so the portion in our package that has it on here, that map, was that variance, like that lot, was that one of the add-on pieces from when we did the program from before?
My understanding is correct. Ms. Torval.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Yes, that is correct. That is one of the lots that applied for an expansion.
Follow up.
Yeah, I would say what I understood from that, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, the variance that they're asking for is a matter of 7 square meters, and so I'm in support of that.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussion? Just have one question to staff, and I think it's just going forward is, I see the date for the application being submitted to staff. Is our turnaround, is this normally what our turnaround time would be? Ms. Torval?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. It depends on the workload of staff at the time. To understand, we do not have a planning department as such, and we get to these applications as quickly as we can, as time permits.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. And I just asked that question, just other people asking what time commitments are, and I just tell them to reach out to staff. So that's the only reason I asked that. So I appreciate the reply. Any more discussion from council? Call the question. All in favor? Motion carries. 9.3, Temporary Commercial Use Permit, 123 Commercial Park. Report dated February 20th, 2024, from the Deputy Corporate Officer regarding temporary commercial use permit for 123 Commercial Park. Councilor Norbury.
The council authorizes the public notification to affected neighbors for a proposed temporary commercial use permit to Sia Edmonds, business owner, and Robert Curry, property owner, to conduct the C1 business of a tattoo shop at 123 Commercial Park, Tumble Ridge, BC, currently classified as a C2 zone according to the zoning bylaw 585.
Seconder, Councilor Dussault. Discussion. Councilor Julik.
How long is temporary?
Yeah, good question. I know this is coming forward too when we're talking about in regards to redoing our zoning bylaw, and I believe this was something that was being added to it, but Ms. Torval?
Yes, the proposed amendment is to the zoning bylaw that we would allow personal services businesses located within a C2 zone, whereas currently they are not.
So I guess like when you ask like how temporary, I would imagine once that comes back into staff as a draft and gets back in front of council, if it gets adopted, then it would no longer be temporary, as it'll be inside the zoning bylaw.
Okay, good.
Okay, Councilor Norbury, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Kakalka. So I support the proposed change. I mean, we're looking at our zoning bylaw now, and we want to be business friendly. I want to think we were kind of playing with the idea of making that C1 zone anyways, or to allow C1 operations to happen in the cross zones. I think it just makes sense. So definitely want to support business. Thanks.
Yeah, no, and I'm with both councilors, and like I said, I think this is just, we're in between the zoning bylaw with obviously a draft coming back, but this is something that council definitely discussed previously with staff, and the proponent that's doing the zoning bylaw was to add those. So when we say temporary, I mean, once that comes back and council approves whatever changes we've seen, it'll be obviously no longer temporary. So, okay, any more discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Motion carries. 9.4 FireSmart UBCM-CRI funding application. Report dated February 20th, 2024 from the Director of Protective Services Fire Chief regarding FireSmart UBCM-CR1 or I, sorry, funding application. Councilor Noxana.
The council support the district's application to the UBCM Community Resiliency Investment Funding Stream, including the willingness to provide overall grant management should it be successful.
Seconder, Councilor Dussault. Discussion. I have a couple questions, and if I may, Ms. Storville. If unsuccessful in regards to this grant so that we can employ somebody, what about a grant, or is this grant interlocks that we can hire a company? So I know through the PRRD, we have an agreement with a company out of Fort St. John that does the FireSmart on their behalf, and obviously we applied for a grant through them. Is there a different grant that we can apply if we're unsuccessful here that we can hire the same companies?
I will ask Chief Curry if he can respond to that, please.
Certainly, Ms. Torville. Mayor and Council, so to your question, if we are unsuccessful in this, we would seek out either other grant funding, or we would take such funding and make it a request in our 2024 capital special projects. For that, it sounds very promising that we will get this funding based on the category that Tumbler Ridge currently resides in. We're actually at that higher threshold for that, so it's very promising that we will get our funding.
Perfect, thanks, appreciate that. I guess my other question, Ms. Torville, would be, after 2 years, what happens? So this proposal is for 2 years, 2 years for, to me, it sounds like for an employee. What happens after 2 years?
I will ask Chief Curry.
Your Worship, Council, so after 2 years, the discussion will be had with Council if we continue on with the FireSmart program. Irrespective of funding, we still are eligible for funding through UBCM based on the criteria of the things that we complete in this year and for next year. So we have 3 things that we need to accomplish in order to succeed for any other future funding. So it's our intention to continue on with that program. It's not a 2-year done, we're FireSmarted, it's a continuing process.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and yeah, I wouldn't think 2 years and we're done, and just the way I read it, that it's a 2-year funding agreement. I wasn't sure that we could reapply for the same funding to continue on. Is this a year, or is it only summer seasonal for employee-wise?
I'm not 100% certain on that. I'll ask Chief Curry.
Mayor and Council, so this is, right now, we're applying for 2 years full funding, so full year funding. So we would be getting, should we be successful, hopefully we'll know very quickly from UBCM, and then we will begin getting a FireSmart coordinator in place, and it will be a full year worth of coordination in terms of getting our committee ready, the FireSmart training, everything else that goes along with it. So it will be full year.
Thank you very much for that. Councillor Clickash.
Yes, would this be like a contractor, or was it an employee?
Sounds like to me they're going to look for an employee, but Mr. Torville, let's clarify.
I'll ask Chief Curry for clarification on that, please.
Your Worship, through to Councillor Clickash, so what we're proposing in this is to hire a full-time term position for 2 years, and then we reassess that after a 2-year term, whether we make it a full-time position that's going to be grant dependent, or if it's going to be a full-time position that is going to be budget consideration and just rolled into the Protective Services Department, or do we cease the program after 2 years?
Thank you. Follow-up, Councillor Clickash?
That's fine, yeah. Got my answer.
Any more discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Motion carries. 9.5, EO5 Council Expense Policy Waiver. I'm going to put the recommendation on the floor. The council waives the EO5 Council Expense Policy to allow all interested councillors to attend the 2024 FCM Annual Conference in Calgary. Seconder, Councillor Julik. Discussion. My comments would be the reason I put that and I'm in favor of waiving this policy is, to me, it's usually far in the east. Usually it's Halifax, Toronto, Quebec, Montreal, wherever way down east. And I think with it being in Calgary, if there's more than 2 councillors that want to attend with the mayor, this is an opportunity that, to me, hopefully I mean, obviously it has to be benefit to the community and the municipality. But with being in Calgary, I just figure when it's closer, so travel's less cost. And it gives people a chance to attend it. And make sure that they find it viable for if they ever wanted to go further east, which is definitely more expensive. Okay, any more discussion? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion carries. (9.6) Action item list. I'm going to put a motion on the floor for discussion. If I can get a seconder. Councillor Julich. All in favor? Motion carries. Go to staff afterwards, but one thing I'd like to discuss, and that would be regards to the letter that we're asking staff to send to the Minister of Housing and BC Housing, that we add, if to me, if we're going to get accepted to meet with the Minister of Housing in Victoria, that we add other ministers at the same time so that we have more meetings for the money that we pay to travel there. So I did ask Ms. Torval to make sure she put a note here on the reason why it was for discussion or information. Normally, I don't think there's anything there, but it was for that to see what council's thoughts are on adding other ministers. And the reason I say that, again, if we're traveling down there to meet with one, it's pretty expensive. If you're meeting with multiples at the same time or over a couple of days, it's definitely better for our community. Councilor Noberry?
Thank you, Mayor Kakalka. I don't see any issue with trying to schedule other meetings, but at the same time, I think it's important for us to not lose focus about what this issue is. The main focus is Minister of Housing, right? Like, I'd hate for us to push back a meeting with the minister because we want other things to align. That'll be my only comments there.
No, I take that comment very early. It's definitely not any way to push back. Oh, well, if we can try to get this meeting and that meeting at the same time, can we move your meeting? To me, we send them all at the same time and let them know that we've sent other ministers. They obviously all talk. To me, it just, again, makes more sense if we can have some other meetings. And to me, it would be the Minister of Health, Minister of Tourism, and Minister of Mines for sure, which is the ones I'm thinking of. And obviously, Minister of Health, I mean, we've had opportunity or tried multiple times, but I think that discussion needs to be had. Minister of Tourism is always the same ask, but I think we're in a little bit of different position after UBCM. And then the Minister of Mines, I think we just need to have that on the table with Kumnuma going through the application process for Quintet. If something was to come up and we already have a meeting scheduled, I think it makes more sense to try to schedule one. So, Councillor Julich, did you have?
Yeah.
Councillor Julich?
And forgive me because I'm not remembering if mental health is a different ministry than health. I believe it is.
It is.
I would want to see possibly that. I still think that we're struggling here in our community, and so that would be one that I would like to add. Although, and I was going to ask you which ones because I was curious, and I think all the ones that you mentioned are definitely important as well. And honestly, if we only got to see the Minister of Housing, if we actually got some time with the Minister for Housing, I see it all over, unfortunately, that it's just going to be a struggle. I still think, though, that this is an ongoing issue that we need solved and solved sooner rather than later. So even if it only ends up with Minister of Housing, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, don't disagree. Any other comments from council? Okay, I'm going to put a motion on the floor in regards to the action item list, and that is to add letters going to the Minister of Tourism, Minister of Health, Minister of Mines, and I don't know all the...
Minister of Mental Health and Addiction.
No, I know, but I can't remember the Mines got a couple other ones there, but, and then Minister of Mental Health and Addictions. And again, I'll just take a seconder first. Take a second, Councilor Noberry. And again, staff, I think, heard it loud and clear that if BC Housing one that responds first and the other ones we can't meet at the same time, so be it. That is the goal, is with the Minister of Housing, and 100% support council and trying to have that dialogue. I've tried to have dialogue since June 8th of 2023. So we received an email in December 8th of 2023. So yeah. Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay. Schedule the meetings first? scheduling meetings first? Don't have to leave it quite yet. Anything from council in regards to scheduling meetings? Just a reminder, obviously it's on the schedule, but for February 28th, that's with Community Forest and BC Wildfire Services. I guess, Ms. Torval, I know we can't direct staff, but it'd be great to have the fire chief here, if we can. I'm not sure if he's available, but Ms. Torval?
Thank you. We might want to consider canceling the February 26th budget meeting,
Yep.
please.
Yep, got to start. Okay, is there anything else from council? Okay, I'm going to put a motion on the floor that cancels the February 26th budget meeting. Take a second there. Councillor Julik, discussion. Okay, call the Councillor Norbury.
Nope, sorry. That's okay.
Yeah.
I know the answer.
Okay, call the question. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, anything else from council? Councillor Julik.
Before you go on, are you going to notice of motion next?
I will be after we're done here. Are you all done?
Yes, I was just going to excuse myself from the notice of motion as I am in conflict.
Okay. Sorry? Yeah, I was wondering that. Are we good? Everybody's good with the scheduling meeting? I know she was leaving early, so, sorry, she caught me off guard. Everybody's good with that? Okay. And Ms. Torov, I understand, like, we can't direct staff, but just with it being with BC Wildfire Service and obviously Community Forest, and it is in regards to, you know, I think same concept that the chief is working on, so. Be great. Thank you. Notice of motion, a letter to school district number 59, notice of motion brought by Councillor Noxana at the February 5th, 2024 regular council meeting. Councillor Noxana.
Thank you. So I would like for us to, first of all, thank School District 59.
Just read your motion.
Oh, specifically first, sorry. We sent a letter to School District 59, thanking them for the invite to the strategic planning session and asked them to come to the smaller communities and not to just have it in one location.
Okay, take a seconder. Councillor Norbury. Discussion. Councillor Noxana.
Thank you. Okay, so the strategic planning was super well done. Amazing turnout, and there was probably over 30 people, but most of the people attending were from Dawson Creek, and no one else from Tumbler Ridge was able to attend. So I would like to reach out and first of all say thank you for inviting us out, but also to see if they can come to smaller communities, because I think the input from places like Tumbler and possibly Chetwynd would be super beneficial for them when they're doing their 4-year plans.
Yep, I think it's great comments. First of all, I want to thank you for being able to attend it. I was away and you were acting mayor, so you were able to attend, so I appreciate that. And then just from the input you've given us, I think, you know, maybe they can look at that or a different day. I mean, we don't want to say a weekend because it takes away from a day off from the teachers, but maybe there's some way of being able to do a hybrid into Tumbler Ridge one year, Chetwynd the following years when they do them or whatever, like kind of, you know, instead of always just going to Dawson or to Chetwynd, maybe they try to do it where they involve the other communities that they have the schools in. So, Councillor Noxana.
I think it could be better attended even if they came physically to Tumbler Ridge, because a meeting that starts at 5 o'clock is really hard to get to after a day of work. And if you get home, I get home just before 10 p.m. And if you have to be in a classroom at 8 a.m., that is a struggle. So I understand why it wasn't well attended by residents of Tumbler Ridge, but would really like to see them seek out more input from smaller communities.
Okay, I agree. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Kukelka. I support the recommendation on the floor, as I think it's all comments that Councillor Knox had commented on are valid. And yeah, I think it's pretty hard to get out to Dawson Creek at 5 when, say, somebody works till 5, right? Or yeah, you're picking up the kids at 2:30 and you just got to somehow finish dinner. It'd just be nice, even if we get on a rotation like you mentioned, Mayor, or have a separate thing. Ultimately, I'd love to have our own thing, but I do understand we do have to share. So thanks.
Yeah, and I guess maybe when I thought about sharing it was to have the, you know, let them have the one in Dawson Creek. And I believe it's probably because most of their boards there. It would be my guess, but to still reach out to one municipality this year and then the other municipalities. I mean, there's other schools besides just Tumbler Ridge and Dawson Creek also that are within School District 59. So I'm just wondering if we should just maybe note that when you say At the bottom, what you're asking is not to have it in just one location. You know, so maybe suggesting in the same part of that letter stating that, you know, maybe a second part of that in Tumbler Ridge 1 year, the following year. Did you want to maybe add that as a amendment? Councillor Noxana?
Yeah, we can add in we can suggest anything, basically, a rotating schedule, but ultimately, we just want to see more input than having the bigger city.
Okay. Mr. Over, will you need anything from that, or can we just expand on that letter?
We can expand on that letter, Council.
Okay, appreciate that. Any more discussion in regards to the notice motion? Call the question, all in favor? Motion carries. If you wouldn't mind getting Councillor Julik, please. Okay, Councillor's business. Thanks, Councillor Dussault, for submitting your Museum Foundation notes. Anything from council from the floor in regards to Councillor's business? Councillor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor Kakalka. Just want to let everyone know that we sent in a letter to the Ministry of Health supporting the South Peace Health Services Society and its funding. We got a letter back, something in writing, actually saying that they will continue to fund the Baltrees House for the 2024-2025 year. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of the South Peace Health Services Society. We had a successful mission with the Deputy Minister of Health, so thanks.
Yeah. Congratulations to you and your organization, the committee, for doing that. You know, it's great to be able to write support letters, but it's the other groundwork that happened before that. So congratulations to your organization there. Anything else from council on councilor's business from the floor? I have a couple things. One, myself and Ms. Torval met with BC Hydro. Sorry, Councillor Hoffman. I'll come back right back to you. We met with a member from BC Hydro in regards, just after the UBCM, he was in the area, reached out to Ms. Torval and myself. We just had an open dialogue meeting at Town Hall. And one of the asks at the UBCM was, well, I guess two things for sure. One was in regards to lighting on our pathways, how on some of our pathways we have a street light, and then on the backside we have the trail light. So that's been an ask probably from council for many years. He has submitted us a, I don't even know what you want to call it. I don't know, it's not a grant application, but it's a grant scenario or a link to BC Hydro where we can put in an ask for that. And he's, from his side, well, he said you already have it, so it's not something new. And he's heard about it, like from other communities. So it sounds like Ms. Torval will be working on that when she can. And maybe we'll hear back that we are allowed to add some more lights along our walking paths and then determine what paths would need to have more lights added to it to make it usable in the evenings or dusk and stuff like that. And then the other ask at the UBCM was in regards to our power outages and the updates on their website. And not getting updates on their website or updates that residents know when the power is actually going to come on, when the crew's actually been arrived or the crew's on scene. So we talked about the last one, and I apologize, I guess it's not the last one because we just had one the other day down bottom. But we talked about the one, and I can't remember the month, but it was actually long. And it was always crews were assigned, but crews had never shown on site yet. And that one there was a huge circuit concern, and they actually had to wait for daylight for a helicopter. But nobody was aware of that. And I said that to them, like people have to, some people have breathing machines at home, CPAP machines, people with infants that need to be heating milk or whatever. And if you don't have a gas stove or a barbecue available to be able to do it, I said, that's a concern. Or if people have to worry about their oxygen tanks being filled or that. So I said, we're not asking for anything different than any other municipality would be, but proper up-to-date information going on your website so that people can sign in and know that the crew is going to be on site approximately at this time, and this is when the updates are going to come. What he promised myself and Ms. Torval is if we have a long power outage, I have his personal cell number, and so does Ms. Torval. So he can get us pretty much up-to-update information. I'm not going to share that number with the public, I promised. But again, I watched the one that happened just lately down bottom, and to me it seemed to be updated fairly quickly and fairly accurately. But these are for the long ones, when we're 8-10 hours in and we're not getting, or 5 hours and we're not getting proper updates to be able to contact him. If he is away off or on vacation, it automatically bumps to whoever is taking over, so it doesn't get lost. So that's a good thing, I think, for staff. And I'm not sure if Ms. Torval will share that with the chief, but that's up to her. But I have no problem giving it to council. But again, I don't want this to be, we promised it would not be public information, just because it's his personal cell number. So I think that's great. Councillor Hoffman.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Just there's a requested update on the Geopark building, and it is on track to be completed in March with exhibits hopefully opening for May.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I know I had some other stuff. I forgot my book at home, so I'll have to do it next time. But I can't remember if I've done it, and if I did, I think we did talk about the Winter Carnival. We talked about that last meeting? One shakes their head, one's not sure. Okay, well, if we haven't, I want to thank staff because, I mean, it was well received by the public. I know I was down, and Councillor Noxana was down at the Toboggan Hill. Her son had done up his cardboard sled and was racing it down there. So there were some amazing toboggans built. That's all I got to say. There were some amazing ones, put some time into, way more creative than I could be, but I think it was well done. So again, thanks to staff if we didn't get a chance to thank you guys. All right, that's it for me. Anything else from council? And I apologize. I do have a few other things. I just can't remember what they are. Okay. Question and answer period. Gallery, Becky, do you have any questions? We don't get to see anybody very often, so we kind of get to know each other one-on-one when there's only one of you here. So, Ms. Torval, do you have any questions?
None tonight.
Thank you. Take a resolution to close, and if you can just use the right date, please. Councillor Julik.
That the February 20th, 2024 regular council meeting be closed to the public according to Section 91C and J of the Community Charter to permit discussions about C, labor relations or other employee relations, J, information that is prohibited or information that if it were presented in a document would be prohibited from disclosure under Section 21 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act.
Seconder, Councillor Dussault. All in favor? Motion carries. 5-minute recess.